Ronda Rousey, once the unstoppable face of women's MMA, now lives far from the spotlight that defined her. From Olympic judo medals to UFC dominance and Hollywood appearances, she captured the world's attention with skill, determination, and fire. Yet fame came with an unbearable cost, leaving scars unseen by fans. Today, at 38, Ronda has retreated to a quiet life on her Southern California ranch, focusing on family, personal growth, and self-sufficiency. No longer defined by victories or public validation, she is rebuilding her life on her own terms, strong, grounded, and quietly resilient. From struggle to strength, Ronda Rousey was born on February 1, 1987, in Riverside, California, entering the world under difficult circumstances. Choked by her own umbilical cord, she suffered oxygen deprivation at birth, which caused significant speech delays. She could not form full sentences until she was 6. From the very first moments of her life, adversity was a constant companion, shaping a resilience that would define her. Her mother, Anne Maria DeMars, a world-class judo champion and the first American to win gold at the World Judo Championships, ensured Ronda would grow up with discipline and purpose. The household did not revolve around praise or comfort. It revolved around hard work, grit, and the unshakable belief that excellence was earned. While other children played, Olympic glory and personal struggles. At 21, Ronda Rousey made history as the first American woman to earn a judo medal at the Olympics, taking bronze in Beijing in 2008. While many saw celebration and triumph, Ronda faced an inner void. Judo had given her structure, skill, and recognition, but it had not provided financial security or emotional stability. Broke and emotionally exhausted, she took a job as a bartender in Venice Beach, living out of her car at times, barely scraping by. Yet her resilience never faltered. It was in this uncertain period that she discovered mixed martial arts, a sport that offered her not just survival, but rebirth. Ronda's judo foundation, combined with a fierce determination and refusal to accept mediocrity, allowed her to enter MMA with intensity and purpose. Her debut in 2011 lasted only 25 seconds, a signal to the world that she was more than a fighter. She was a force of nature. Rise through the ranks. By 2012, Ronda had claimed the Strikeforce Bantamweight Championship, showcasing a dominant style that relied on precision, speed, and her legendary armbar. Her approach was simple: overwhelm, control, and finish. By 2013, she had become the face of the UFC, convincing even Dana White that women deserved their own division. Her victories were swift and decisive, often ending fights in under a minute. Fans marveled at her consistency and power, while media coverage elevated her from athlete to global icon. Ronda's rise coincided with celebrity recognition. Magazine covers, Hollywood appearances, and endorsements became commonplace. She appeared in films like Furious 7 and Entourage, and her name became synonymous with dominance. But alongside the acclaim, the seeds of future challenges were quietly being planted. The perils of invincibility. Ronda Rousey's unbroken streak created a sense of invincibility, and with it came confidence that sometimes veered into arrogance. Press conferences became stages for bold claims. Opponents were dismissed before bouts even began. She publicly suggested she could take on Floyd Mayweather in boxing, and every victory reinforced the myth of untouchable dominance. Behind this public persona, cracks began to form. Her training methods remained static under longtime coach Edmond Tarverdian, even as competitors evolved their striking, footwork, and defensive skills. The confidence that had fueled her rise began to obscure her awareness of the shifting landscape in women's MMA. As media coverage amplified her celebrity, Ronda's focus on self-improvement waned. The invincibility she projected created blind spots, leaving her unprepared for challenges beyond her control. A sudden fall, November 14, 2015, UFC 193 in Melbourne, Australia, marked a turning point. Ronda Rousey, undefeated and widely regarded as the queen of women's MMA, faced Holly Holm, a former boxing champion underestimated by many. From the opening bell, Ronda seemed unbalanced, her aggressive style met with calm precision from Holm. The fight exposed weaknesses in striking, distance management, and adaptability. In the second round, Holm landed a perfectly timed left high kick that knocked Ronda to the canvas, shocking the world. The invincible champion had fallen, and the aftermath was swift and unforgiving. Fans, commentators, and media who once celebrated her dominance reacted with disbelief, criticism, and even ridicule. The myth had crumbled in a single strike, leaving Ronda facing not just defeat, but the complex reality of public scrutiny. Coping with loss. Following the defeat, Ronda withdrew from public life. The gap between personal devastation and public expectation proved difficult to navigate. She later admitted in interviews that she had struggled with mental health challenges, including thoughts of despair, highlighting the intense pressures athletes face in the public eye. The human side of Ronda, the vulnerability, the fear, and the reflection, became visible in ways that contrasted with the indomitable figure fans had once idolized. This period was marked by introspection, rebuilding, and a search for balance beyond the octagon. The return and final UFC chapter. After more than a year away, Ronda returned at UFC 207 on December 30, 2016, to face Amanda Nunes. The return carried immense anticipation, but lacked the confidence and adaptability that had characterized her peak years. The women's division had evolved. Competitors had honed skills that Ronda had not fully addressed. The fight ended decisively in Nunes' favor, demonstrating that even champions must evolve to maintain dominance. The defeat was a turning point, signaling that Ronda's era in MMA had drawn to a close. Yet even in loss, her influence persisted. Fighters who had been inspired by her dominance carried forward the path she had forged. Transition to WWE, seeking new challenges, Ronda pivoted to professional wrestling in 2018. Critics questioned the move, expecting a novelty act. Yet Ronda's athleticism, intensity, and real-life credibility allowed her to quickly rise within WWE. She captured the Raw Women's Championship, held it for 231 days, and headlined major events. Despite this, the rigorous schedule, constant media scrutiny, and creative restrictions led to burnout. By 2023, she departed WWE quietly, prioritizing personal well-being over public acclaim. Her journey through wrestling mirrored the cyclical nature of fame, success, and personal fulfillment that had defined her career. Life beyond public eyes. Today, Ronda Rousey has deliberately stepped away from constant visibility. She focuses on family, motherhood, and a grounded lifestyle away from the glare of celebrity. Her Venice home and Riverside ranch offer privacy, security, and space for reflection. She spends her days raising her daughter, tending animals, cultivating gardens, and training without cameras or audiences. Her life emphasizes resilience, sustainability, and authenticity over external validation. Vehicles, homes, and routines are tools for practicality, memory, and grounding rather than ostentation, reflecting a holistic approach to life that values presence, purpose, and self-reliance. Legacy and influence. Despite her withdrawal from the spotlight, Ronda Rousey's impact remains undeniable. She transformed women's MMA, inspired countless athletes, and paved the way for stars like Amanda Nunes, Valentina Shevchenko, and Zhang Weili. Her influence transcends championships and highlight reels. It resides in the mindset, confidence, and courage of the next generation. Her story illustrates that greatness is not measured solely by victories or public acclaim, but by the doors opened, barriers broken, and lives changed. Ronda's presence in the sport is felt long after she has left the public stage. Lessons from rise and fall. Ronda Rousey's journey is a testament to the duality of human achievement. The meteoric rise, global fame, and celebrated victories reveal the heights of talent and determination. The subsequent defeats, public scrutiny, and personal struggles remind us that even the strongest are human. Her story is one of learning, adaptation, and resilience, emphasizing that evolution, personal, professional, and emotional, is critical to sustained success. Ronda's experience teaches athletes, fans, and observers that vulnerability, humility, and self-awareness are as integral to legacy as dominance, speed, and skill. Reinvention and resilience. Beyond the octagon and wrestling ring, Ronda Rousey has reinvented herself. She prioritizes family, mental health, and meaningful activity. Her daily routine includes training, animal care, gardening, and cultivating quiet connections. Through this reinvention, she has reclaimed agency over her life, demonstrating that resilience is not just about overcoming opponents, but also about navigating personal challenges with integrity and intentionality. Ronda's reinvention highlights that even after loss and public scrutiny, a life of impact and fulfillment is possible. Quiet strength. In recent years, Ronda has embraced silence, privacy, and intentional living. She no longer chases fame or approval, but instead channels her energy into her family, community, and personal growth. This quiet strength, born from early adversity, Olympian achievement, UFC dominance, and public trials, defines her present identity. Her influence continues quietly, teaching through example, mentorship, and lived experience. The woman who once dominated octagons now dominates life with thoughtfulness, focus, and resilience, proving that true strength is as much about character as it is about physical prowess. Closing reflection. Ronda Rousey's story is extraordinary not just for the victories, but for the human truths it reveals. Her journey from a struggling child to Olympic medalist, UFC superstar, Hollywood figure, and professional wrestler shows the heights achievable through determination. Her defeats and public scrutiny reveal the fragility inherent in fame and success. Today, Ronda exemplifies balance, purpose, and grounded living. Her legacy is a mixture of triumph and challenge, inspiration and caution, and a reminder that greatness is measured not solely by accolades, but by the impact, resilience, and courage that echo far beyond the spotlight. Public fall and isolation. Ronda Rousey, once the face of women's MMA and an unstoppable force, faced a level of public scrutiny few athletes ever experience. After her shocking defeat by Holly Holm in 2015, the world was unforgiving. Social media erupted with criticism, pundits dissected every mistake, and casual fans joined in, turning once celebrated achievements into fodder for debate. The aura of invincibility she had cultivated was shattered overnight. For the first time, Ronda experienced the dissonance between public perception and personal reality. While the world criticized, she struggled privately to process not just a loss, but the erosion of an identity built around being unbeatable. The WWE transition. After disappearing from MMA, Ronda re-emerged as a WWE performer in 2018. Fans were initially excited, anticipating a new chapter and perhaps a rebirth. Her debut at WrestleMania drew massive attention, and she quickly won the Raw Women's Championship. But beneath the surface, things were complicated. Even in the theatrical, scripted world of professional wrestling, Ronda's natural intensity did not always align with performance requirements. Her promos sometimes felt forced, and her in-ring persona struggled to reconcile the fighter she had been with the entertainer she was expected to become. While WWE provided visibility and financial stability, it also highlighted the challenges of transitioning identities. Ronda was no longer the undefeated UFC champion, nor fully a wrestling star. She occupied a space between worlds, uncertain of where she belonged. Personal struggles and mental health. In interviews, Ronda has been candid about her struggles during this period. On a podcast, she admitted it was hard to cope with no longer being at the top, saying, "It was hard when I was no longer the best in the world." Public scrutiny amplified personal insecurities. There were moments of frustration with fans who she sometimes criticized as fickle or ungrateful, reflecting the tension between external expectations and internal realities. Behind the scenes, reports indicated tension with WWE producers and creative teams, suggesting that Ronda felt constrained by scripted storylines and rigid schedules. Her once unshakable confidence was being replaced with doubt as she navigated an identity crisis that extended beyond sport into her personal life. Retreat to privacy. By the early 2020s, Ronda had consciously retreated from the public eye. She purchased a ranch in Southern California, creating a private sanctuary for herself and her family. The retreat offered space for reflection, recovery, and the rebuilding of a life that was not defined solely by fame or athletic achievement. Here, she focused on activities that provided grounding, tending to animals, cultivating gardens, and managing daily routines in a rural environment. While the lifestyle may appear idyllic to outsiders, it represented a deliberate withdrawal from the pressures and scrutiny of public life. For Ronda, privacy became a necessary tool for mental and emotional survival, a way to process the highs and lows that had defined her earlier career. Financial adjustments. Despite her massive earnings during her UFC and WWE careers, Ronda has had to adjust financially in her post-spotlight life. Major endorsement deals ended, including her relationship with Reebok, and film offers have waned. These shifts are not uncommon for athletes whose fame is tied to peak performance. Ronda has instead redirected her resources toward long-term stability, investing in property, building a sustainable ranch, and creating a life that supports mental health and family priorities. Financial management now aligns with lifestyle choices, emphasizing security, practicality, and resilience rather than public display. Reconciling past and present. One of the most profound challenges Ronda has faced is reconciling her past identity as a fighter with her present self. The woman who once dominated the octagon now focuses on domestic life, personal projects, and quiet achievement. This reconciliation is ongoing, requiring acknowledgement of previous mistakes, acceptance of lost glory, and a redefinition of purpose. Friends close to her describe her as more reflective, patient, and selective about engagement, prioritizing energy for meaningful relationships and projects over performance for external validation. In this way, Ronda has transformed her drive for dominance into a pursuit of balance, well-being, and longevity. Influence beyond the spotlight. Although she is less visible publicly, Ronda Rousey's influence endures. Fighters across MMA continue to cite her as an inspiration, recognizing that she opened doors and established standards that are still relevant today. Her story serves as a cautionary tale and a model of resilience, illustrating the interplay of talent, ambition, and personal well-being. Even removed from the media cycle, her name carries weight in gyms, training facilities, and competitive arenas. The legacy she created remains intact, independent of current fame, demonstrating that impact is not always measured by visibility, but by lasting contribution. daily life and routine. On the ranch, Ronda's daily life emphasizes structure, care, and connection. She rises early to tend animals, maintain gardens, and engage in personal fitness. Days are often spent outdoors, blending physical activity with purposeful labor. Her home environment reflects intentional simplicity, functional spaces designed for living, not display. Family, personal growth, and a sense of community take precedence. The shift from public performance to private focus has fostered mental clarity, emotional resilience, and a sense of agency previously unavailable during her intense career. Lessons in resilience. Ronda's story is a study in resilience. Success and visibility can be exhilarating, but the abrupt loss of status and identity can be destabilizing. Navigating this transition requires reflection, adaptation, and intentional action. Ronda's retreat to privacy, focus on motherhood, and investment in sustainable living demonstrate a commitment to rebuilding life on her own terms. Her journey highlights the necessity of redefining success beyond public approval, illustrating that true resilience is not simply the ability to recover from defeat, but to cultivate a life that reflects personal values and long-term well-being. Legacy be framed. While public memory may be selective, Ronda's contributions to women's MMA and combat sports are enduring. She redefined expectations, expanded opportunities, and inspired a generation of athletes to believe in themselves. Her setbacks do not diminish these achievements. Instead, they provide depth and human context. By prioritizing personal health, family, and meaningful engagement, she continues to influence others through example. Ronda's legacy is therefore not solely a record of wins and losses, but a narrative of courage, adaptation, and the pursuit of authenticity in a world that often prizes image over substance. Finding peace in privacy. Ronda's current life is marked by a quiet intensity. She has found purpose in personal growth, family, and rural living, balancing the echoes of her former public identity with the needs of her present self. Retreating from fame has allowed her to explore interests, maintain physical health, and cultivate emotional stability. While she is no longer a global headline, her life is structured around values that endure beyond the octagon: resilience, integrity, and the quiet satisfaction of living on one's own terms. Emotional recovery. Recovery from high-profile defeat and public scrutiny is rarely linear. Ronda's emotional journey involves accepting past experiences, processing lingering disappointment, and embracing new forms of fulfillment. Friends and family describe her as more contemplative, less reactive, and increasingly focused on long-term well-being. Her openness about anxiety, depression, and the challenges of transition contributes to a more nuanced public understanding of athlete mental health. Her story encourages dialogue about vulnerability, perseverance, and the complexity of identity beyond external achievement. Rebuilding identity. At the core of Ronda's current life is the rebuilding of identity. Having once been defined almost entirely by athletic dominance and fame, she now prioritizes autonomy, authenticity, and personal satisfaction. This process requires daily choices that reinforce stability over spectacle, substance over applause. While the transition is ongoing, Ronda's focus on family, meaningful projects, and personal wellness demonstrates a profound evolution. She is no longer racing for public validation. Instead, she is cultivating a life that aligns with her values and priorities, emphasizing quality over quantity of attention or recognition. Reflection on fame and legacy. Ronda Rousey's journey offers insight into the fleeting nature of fame and the enduring importance of impact. While public attention wanes and athletes move on, the doors Ronda opened, the barriers she broke, and the inspiration she provided continue to influence the next generation. Her legacy is layered, a combination of triumph, struggle, vulnerability, and resilience. By shifting focus from external validation to internal fulfillment, Ronda models a version of success grounded in lived experience, personal integrity, and emotional health. Conclusion: Ronda Rousey's story is more than wins and losses. It's a journey of resilience, reinvention, and survival. From Olympic glory to UFC dominance, and from public adoration to private struggle, she has experienced the full spectrum of triumph and loss. Today, Ronda's life on her ranch reflects a quieter strength, where family, self-sufficiency, and inner peace take precedence over fame. Though the world may have moved on, her impact remains undeniable, inspiring a generation of fighters and fans alike. Her legacy is not just in victories, but in the courage to step back, heal, and reclaim her life.